What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of Dom Talks. As you guys know, this is the first episode in which we're going into a series on submissive training. I did the very first episode to this last week. It was purely a disclaimers. I don't want to do the disclaimers each episode, so if you're looking for any of that stuff, pop back there, okay? Why was this important to me? We get asked all the time on the walls, in direct message, through social media channels about submissive training. And it's my favorite part. It's one of my favorite parts, working with my slave, trying to be better, make us better, make our protocols better, our rituals better. So I'm really looking forward to doing this series. What we are starting with is we're going to be starting with positive reinforcement. So, what we're looking to do is we're looking to encourage the desired behaviors, and we're going to use praise and reward and privileges to get there, as opposed to corrections. For me, if you know anything about me, I like to use a blend of the two. So, obviously there's a time and a place for a punishment, okay? When I'm training a slave, I am not training a slave just for control's sake, or for any of that things. What I'm looking to do is that, to me, it's the most intimate time in the relationship because it's so focused, one-on-one. You're cultivating the trust, you're cultivating the intimacy, and you're shaping the behaviors that enhance the relationship, that you're shaping behaviors that, and the services that you're desiring for yourself, that you're desiring for your submissive. And there's a million, strategies or thought processes, ideals on how to train. So again, with this, you're just going to take what you need, what you like, and just do away with the rest, okay? At its core, positive reinforcement is the act of encouraging and increasing the likelihood of the desired behaviors and the desired outcome that you're hoping to achieve by rewarding them. In power exchange relationships, this can be taken in many forms, such as verbal praise, such as physical rewards, such as acts of service, privileges that you might grant to your submissive when they do the right things or do the right jobs. There has been a lot of studies on which works better, right? Positive reinforcement or negative reinforcement, meaning punishment, whether that be physical or chores or tasks. Again, I think there is a place for both, okay? But behavioral psychologists have shown that individuals are more likely to repeat behaviors that lead to pleasurable outcomes. That makes sense, so unlike punishment, which focuses on discouraging negative behaviors, positive reinforcement builds a foundation of trust and motivation, encouraging the submissive to strive towards excellence in their role. And that's really important. And that's why I started moving more towards positive reinforcement. I used to be heavy into negative reinforcement. We had a rule, we had a set of protocols, and if you broke them, you got punished. That was just how simple it was. But I found that I stopped I stopped enjoying that as much as I do the positive reinforcement, because I enjoy, for me personally, the intimacy, like I said earlier, when we're focused on that. Also, for my slave, and for, I think, a lot of people, I'm not gonna say most or many, I'm just gonna say for a lot of folks, it's easy to get discouraged when there's no reward, when it's all stick and no carrot, right? So you need to have a good combination, at least, of the two. Some of the reasons why positive reinforcement works so well: one, it increases the motivation of the person who is being trained. They are more likely to enthusiastically comply with protocols, rituals, rules when they feel appreciated, when they're being rewarded for doing a good job. Everybody likes an attaboy. Everybody likes an attagirl. When you're doing something good and you're trying real hard and it's important to you and you score and you do great, you love a pat on the back. So it increases the motivation big time. It also really strengthens the emotional bond. Praise and reward, it creates a positive association with obedience. It creates a positive association with submission, a positive association with, being in service. And by doing that, by creating that positive reinforcement in all these areas, you're really building and fostering a deeper emotional connection between you and your submissive. That is a key to growth, in my opinion. It reduces resistance because you're encouraging them rather than just demanding absolute compliance. It allows a submissive to feel valued. It allows for them to feel good about themselves. It prevents resentment, feelings of obligation without the fulfillment, right? So my slave, the kinky smurf, when she gets rewarded, you can just see it. It lights up her whole day. She's like a big beacon of light, and then you can actually see her internalize that. But when I get onto her, when she's really messed up or she's done something over and over that she knows better, and I get onto her, you can really see that light dim. You can see her just because she goes inside, she's upset with herself, it pisses her off. And, if it's not fully understood, or if the punishment she feels maybe is not, does whether she voices that or not, if she feels it, right, that can lead to resentment over time. And so I think that's important. When a submissive knows their efforts are noticed and appreciated, they will take a greater initiative in pleasing their dominant, and they'll do it without constant oversight because they know that they're going to be rewarded for that good behavior. So let's talk about some of the different types of positive reinforcement you can do. Remember, please, there's no one size fits all. Everybody's different. Every person's gonna be different. I mean, for some people, a good round of degradation is positive reinforcement. So you have to know who you're working with and what their currency is, as my buddy Castor Damon always says, because you got to know what they trade on. So if being called a dirty little terrible whore in the corner is what does it for them, then that's still positive reinforcement because it gives them a good feeling. Words are a very powerful tool. We hear that all the time, right? Words have so much power, so much meaning. And for a lot of submissives, their dominance approval is the most gratifying thing they can get. I know for Hillary, it sure is. The kinky smart loves to hear it, right? I just said. So some simple things like, just tell them they did an incredible job when they did something right. Letting them know that they handled the situation very well, especially when they have to handle a situation that you're not able to be there for them right away and they have to make decisions. Let them know how good they did, how good a job they did on handling that, and how you're very proud of them. Let them know when you made them happy. And it doesn't have to be anything massive. Like, they can just do anything. Thank them just for their dedication. Something that I'll do for the kinky smirkles. I look over and I'll just say, thank you for just fucking being you. And you can just, again, see them light up. Specific. Do be specific when you highlight what behavior is being praised, right? Now that kind of just what I just said, but sometimes a good just pat is given when you're in a training session, okay? So let's say that I want the kinky to kneel a certain way, and let's say that the arch in the back is taking us a little bit of time to get just right. So when we talk about it and we're given the guidance, we're going to talk about the arch in that back. And when they nail it, there may be 7 different things that's important in that particular pose, but they've only been struggling with that once. I'm going to really highlight the fact that they nailed it on that one, right? It needs to be genuine. Just empty BS doesn't stick around as long. It needs to really be something that's genuine. Doesn't need to be excessive. That's the one thing you want to be careful on. Just the constant praise, okay? Because it just loses a little something. It needs to really be, like I said, just specific and genuine, which means it needs to be for an actual good job done, if that makes sense. Physical rewards. Everybody loves a little physical rewards, right? Maybe it's a little physical attention. It doesn't have to be just some naughty bedroom scene time, which always is good, but it doesn't have to be. I walk by and just give the kinky surfer just a quick brush against the back of her neck or a little ass grab, just reminding her that I still desire her and want her and love her and appreciate her. Little small tokens of appreciation. You don't always have to spend a lot of money. I mean, what's their favorite snack? $2, $3 snack on the way home. Maybe a piece of jewelry if you want to spend a little money. Something that's significant for them. Special privileges is a big one, okay? So maybe a little more time, extra time with you this week because they did so great. Maybe a little, I'm huge. I'm a big dude. And I'm like, really? But I'm a snuggler. I love to snuggle. So maybe a little extra snuggle time, something like that. These are all things that, she responds well to physically. So, physical reinforcement should be tied to behaviors in a meaningful way, making the submissive feel truly rewarded rather than just receiving a random gift. Some may find that acts of pleasures work very well. I know for my submissive, she really does crave the ability to please me, and that's awesome for me. I don't know. I always say you must have been dropped in your head as a kid, but you know, letting her worship my body, letting her worship me, doing her thing, she just gets off on it. So allowing her to do that sometimes is a really great way. And I'll turn it into something, obviously sex, you got to do your own way, the way it works for you guys. We are a little more aggressive. So, I might say something like, you were such a good girl today. Get over here and get on your knees and, blah, blah, blah. I got to be careful what I say here because of where this will be published, but y'all get the point. So allow them to serve in a way that they particularly enjoy, and of course that you enjoy, right? Granting them a special scene or activity they maybe want to do, and maybe giving them, again, like I said, a little more access to your time. I mean, we're all busy, so when we can give that little bit of extra affection or that little extra attention, a lot of times that works out quite well, I'll maybe extending some time that they normally get with you, or maybe taking them out to do something that they really want to do. Maybe to, the Kinky Smurf loves getting outdoors, so maybe I'll take her up to the rainforest, or we'll go out to the canyons, depending on what part of the country we're in, and just make it really a good, fun time, I think that one of the things that's really important is you want to link the privilege to the performance, encourage the submissive to strive for continuous growth, and that will help in the adherence to the expectations, providing that the expectations are very clearly laid out and your training is, very succinct in what you're expecting of them. I think it's important to have a structured reward system. It can't just kind of be random. Some people might use the point system. You can use a journal of praise. You have like different levels of achievement, just so they have the key to success. The key to success and the key to success of a structured system is balance. Making sure that the submissive has goals to reach for, and at the same time, we want to challenge them. I don't want to just make it easy. I don't want it to be like a check mark going down the page. So I want to challenge them and make sure that they are having to push themselves in their growth, but at the same point in time that they're not overwhelmed. So this is going to be very specific for each one of the submissives that you train. You know what I mean? Positive reinforcement, like I said, is a very, very great tool, but there are some pitfalls. There's some pitfalls that you got to avoid, and some of these things I have done, and they don't work out very well if you don't control these. So inconsistency is the biggest one. If you're just like anything, if anything in your dynamic is sporadic or arbitrary, the submissive can very easily become confused, not knowing what's really important, what's really not, and won't know what's expected of them. So make sure that you're consistent in everything that you do, from what the message that you're giving them is to what the rewards for doing a good job is, and when necessary, what the punishment is for not doing so, okay? Over-reliance on rewards. We talked about this a little bit ago. If the reward is the only reason that the submissive is doing it, there's not a whole lot of intrinsic motivation, a lot of, internal fulfillment. I want, as a dominant, I want to lead because that's who I am, and it's what makes me feel good. Just the leading part makes me feel good. I want my submissive to serve because that's what fulfills her, not because they're going to get an extra candy bar at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Don't neglect the personality and the needs of your submissive. What works for one submissive will not work for the other one. You really need to tailor each piece and each method to the individual, because what works on the Kinky Smurf won't work over here, won't work over there, okay? And again, a lack of balance. Reinforcement is a tool, it's not a bribe. You're not bribing them. Hey, do this for me and you get an extra cookie. We're not doing that. Ensure the expectations are always clear. And when it's not, even if it's something that you've talked about and then later on it seems like, we're kind of missing a piece here, let's come back. Hey, let's look at page number 14 and rule number 77, whatever the case may be, and let's review that so we can get back on the right track. Be clear, be concise, and just remember that the reinforcement, what we're looking to do here is strengthen the relationship, strengthen the bond, and incentivize, but it doesn't replace discipline when it's needed, okay? So, like we've been saying, we want to really have a combined effort between positive reinforcement and that correction, right? Positive reinforcement, as I think I've tried very hard to explain, is highly effective. But for us, it doesn't mean that correction is never necessary. You know, it's something that sometimes has to happen. So a well-balanced approach includes both praise, guidance, and ensuring when mistakes are made that they're being corrected constructively and used in a way that everyone involved can understand what is happening, why it's happening, and the steps that need to be taken to get back on track. You know, maybe if your submissive forgets a protocol, rather than just going straight to disciplining them, we can sit down and say, listen, I know you're capable of doing better. I've seen you do better. I would like for you to show me again how this is really done. Make sure they have it. And then, you know, if it happens again, then a correction is really necessary. Another thing that you really got to remember is if your submissive is struggling with something, they're really struggling with it, maybe you need to tweak something in it. You need to look down and say, okay, what part of this is really affecting them, and fix that part. I'll tell you an example for us. She has a journal that's due every day, okay? And it used to be, when we first started, it was due by like 7 o'clock. Well, with the offspring and the chaos and everything, they would miss journal quite a bit. And it wouldn't be like they missed it completely, but it would come late. And really looking at it, I realized that it was just a terrible time. The time that I picked just really sucked. I didn't think about everything that was going on in the life at that time. So I moved it up to 10 o'clock, and that was the perfect time. It's a premium time. By that time, everyone's gone to bed for the most part. Things around the house have calmed down, and she's able to really get that journal in on time pretty much every time. So, you know, as you become more and more of a skill dominant, you know how to shift between positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, when they just need guidance, when they need to be tweaked. You really will learn how to use the different techniques effectively and efficiently with your particular submissive or submissives, whatever works best for you. Just remember, we're always trying to foster growth, pleasure, fulfillment, and not discouragement or resentment. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode about positive reinforcements. I have a ton of these coming. Every week we'll do something different. As I get a little more free time, I'm even thinking about doing more than one a week, but for now, we're just gonna drop one a week. If you guys have any questions, put them in the comments. I will make sure to answer every question that I get, as long as I get it. If I said something that you don't agree with, put it in the comments. Let's have a conversation. The whole point of what we do here is to educate as many as possible. So the more voices we can get, the better off we're all gonna be. Guys, I really appreciate it. Thank you so very much. And as always, I want y'all to stay kinky and have a good time. You know, I want to thank our sponsor this month for February, over at Adam and Eve. They've done a fantastic job of supporting us this month, and they've given us a special code. The promo code is KINK. You'll be able to save 50% off any one item. You'll get free shipping, and you'll also get free priority rush service. If you look on the internet, you cannot find a better deal than that. And so take advantage of it. Go to Adam and Eve, get something spicy for the love month, and use the promo code KINK. Thanks y'all so much, and we'll talk to you next week.